Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of Motorcycle Mondays, making brake lever guard. Now we're on to the next part of the process, which is machining the actual hook piece that connects onto the brake lever fin. So this guy is going to get machined in 2 steps, starting off machining from the top here, all the way down. I've got the viewing or the preview set up pretty fast so that this doesn't take too long. Even though it's a really small part, it's still going to take quite a while just because the whole thing is being 3D machined. At the end, this is what we should be looking like before it's time to move on to the second operation. So stay tuned and hope you enjoy. So one of the first parts of the setup is using an edge finder to locate the edge of the workpiece on the back face against the solid jaw and the end of the stock. What I do so that it's repeatable is I use a set of parallels and I hold the stock flat against the edge. The material I'm using is quite a bit larger than the piece that the final size of the brake lever hook, so it's not absolutely crucial. What really matters is that I keep putting each piece back in the same position so that it can make them over and over and over again without running off the part and then having some of it not be machined correctly. So all I'm going to be using is 2 tools set up. So I've got a 1/4 inch end mill and a 1/2 inch ball end mill, and these 2 are going to be doing all of the first operations in order to get this lever hook cut out. So on the screen, if I choose setup and then tool library, I scroll through and I find the tools I'm looking for. So 1/4 inch cutter right there is tool number 8, so I got to go back to the computer and tell the computer I'm going to use tool number 8 is my 1/4 inch, and then tool number 3 is my 1/2 inch. I have it listed as a flat end mill, but that's pretty straightforward. I can scroll down and say tool types. And select ball end mill, use. So I need to go back to the computer and tell it that my 1/4 inch end mill is tool number 8 and my 1/2 inch ball end mill is tool number 3, and then we'll be able to get them in the machine, get the length of the cutter set up, and get to work. Alright, so I had to change things up a little bit and add a 3rd tool. I ended up adding a 3 flute 1/2 inch end mill because it has a longer cutting range or cutting edge than the 1/4 inch cutter that I was using before. So I'll still have to use this because the 1/2 inch won't fit inside the slot, but the 1/4 inch goes in the opposite direction. Its shoulder gets quite a bit larger. It goes from 1/4 inch up to a 3/8 tool holder. So what ends up happening is this part that's wider, once it gets down to the last few cuts along the bottom of the part, will crash. The version of Rhino I have is a little older, so it doesn't simulate the crash. It doesn't show me where it's going to happen so that I can try to do something about it, but I know that just from watching the way the cutter goes around, this shoulder and the distance between these two isn't quite enough to make it all the way down. I've got the screen zoomed in, so it doesn't exactly do it justice, but one more look at how this should work. I added the tool holder in and measured the tools so that you see the actual size that everything works at. The material that's left untouched down here at the bottom is what's held in the vise. There should be about 25 thousandths of an inch clearance between where the cutter will stop at the bottom and where the vise is. And then the last stage is just going to be a ball end mill going around and making a starburst pattern just to finish all the edges and make it look nice and pretty. This is in its slowest mode, yet it's still incredibly fast. So I just have to watch over and over again to make sure that there isn't any spots where the cutter or tool holder is going to end up crashing. And there we go. Hopefully that's how the end of Operation 1 will look. We'll get this over into the machine and get her fired up. So that worked out pretty well. First operation is done, and the ball end mill was a little large for the size of the part. I think a 1/4 inch ball end mill might give me a little better finish, but I have to say I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So this slot, if all goes well, should be the right width for the brake lever guard to fit in, and then once it's flipped over, the deeper pocket in the center will be what fasteners can pass through in order to clamp and tighten this onto the other lever guard, or the other part of the lever guard that bolts to the bar.